Most people are waiting. They're waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for Monday, waiting for the new year, waiting for when they feel ready. And while they're waiting, their life is passing them by, one unremarkable day at a time. Here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. The life you're living right now is the sum total of all the days you didn't think mattered, every single one of them. And the life you'll be living 5 years from now, that's being built right now in the next 24 hours, whether you're paying attention or not. I spent years of my life dismissing the importance of single days. I'd tell myself, what difference does one day make? What's the harm in putting this off until tomorrow? And I was right one day, didn't make much difference. Missing one day at the gym didn't make me fat. Skipping one day of reading didn't make me ignorant. Neglecting my goals for one day didn't destroy my dreams. But here's what I didn't understand back then. It's never just one day. That one day becomes a pattern. That pattern becomes a lifestyle. And that lifestyle becomes your destination. When I was 25 years old, broke and struggling, I didn't get there because of one catastrophic decision. I got there because of 1,000 small decisions that didn't seem to matter at the time. A little too much spending here, a little too much television there, a few too many excuses, a few too many shortcuts. Each day, by itself, was no big deal. But those days added up, compounded, and created a reality I never intended to live. The same principle works in reverse, and this is where it gets exciting. You don't need to make dramatic, sweeping changes to transform your life. You just need to make slightly better choices, consistently, starting with the next 24 hours. Success isn't this mysterious force that only visits certain people. It's simply a few disciplines practiced every day. And failure, it's just a few errors in judgment repeated every day. Think about it this way. If you read 10 pages of a good book today, what happens? Nothing. You're not transformed. You're not suddenly smarter or more successful. But if you read 10 pages every single day for a year, you'll have read 3,650 pages. That's about a dozen substantial books. Do you think reading a dozen books might change your perspective? Might give you some new ideas? Might put you ahead of 95% of the population who doesn't read at all? The same concept applies to everything. One healthy meal doesn't make you fit, but it's the foundation of a healthy body built over time. One day of focused work doesn't make you wealthy, but it's the building block of a fortune constructed over years. One conversation with your children doesn't make you parent of the year, but thousands of those conversations create an unbreakable bond. The next 24 hours represent one more brick in the building of your life. The question is, what kind of building are you constructing? Most people underestimate what they can accomplish in 5 years, but they dramatically overestimate what they can accomplish in a day. So they get frustrated when one day of effort doesn't produce miraculous results, and they quit. They don't understand that the magic isn't in the day itself, it's in the multiplication of days. It's in the compound effect of small choices made consistently over time. Here's what I learned the hard way. The future doesn't arrive with a trumpet blast announcing, "This is it, this is your moment." The future arrives quietly, disguised as ordinary days that don't seem special or significant. And if you're not careful, you'll waste those days waiting for something extraordinary to happen, not realizing that those ordinary days are the extraordinary opportunity. When someone tells me they're going to turn their life around starting next Monday, I know they're in trouble. When they say they'll get serious about their goals next year, I know they've already decided not to change. Because people who are serious about transformation don't schedule it, they start it. Right now, today, in the next 24 hours. The enemy of your future isn't lack of ability. It isn't lack of opportunity. It isn't even lack of knowledge. The enemy is the belief that today doesn't matter. It's the thought that says, "I'll start tomorrow," as if tomorrow operates under different rules than today. But here's reality. Tomorrow will arrive with the same temptations, the same distractions, the same excuses. If you can't master the next 24 hours, what makes you think you'll suddenly develop the discipline to master tomorrow? I'm not talking about perfection here. I'm talking about direction. I'm talking about making today slightly better than yesterday. I'm talking about winning the day, not winning the lottery. Because winners don't do different things, they do things differently. They understand that every day matters, that every choice counts, that every moment is either moving them toward their goals or away from them. The beautiful thing about the next 24 hours is that they offer you a fresh start without having to wait. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect circumstances. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to make better use of the hours you've been given. That's it. That's the whole secret to changing your life. Change what you do with your days. Some people will hear this and nod along, agreeing with every word, and then go right back to wasting the next 24 hours the same way they wasted the last 24 hours. Others will feel something shift inside them, something that says enough. I'm done waiting. I'm done making excuses. Starting right now, I'm going to treat these hours like they matter, because they do. The difference between these two people isn't talent or luck, it's the decision to act on what they know. The next 24 hours are going to pass whether you use them well or waste them. Time doesn't care about your intentions or your excuses. It just keeps moving, keeps ticking, keeps giving you opportunities to either invest in your future or squander your present. And the life you'll be living this time next year, it's being built right now, in these hours, by these choices, through these disciplines or lack thereof. So the question isn't whether the next 24 hours will decide your future. They will, because every day does. The question is, what are you going to decide to do with them? If I handed you $86,400 at the beginning of each day with one condition, whatever you don't use wisely disappears at midnight, how would you spend it? You'd be strategic, wouldn't you? You'd make every dollar count. You certainly wouldn't waste thousands of dollars on things that don't matter. Well, here's the reality. You get 86,400 seconds every single day, and most people treat them like they're worthless. They throw away hours like loose change, and then wonder why they're broke when it comes to achievement, relationships, and personal growth. Time is the one currency you can't negotiate with. You can't save it up for later. You can't borrow more when you run out. You can't inherit it from a rich relative. Everyone gets the exact same amount. And what separates successful people from everyone else isn't that they have more time, it's what they trade their time for. Every hour you spend is gone forever, exchanged for whatever you chose to do with it. The question that should keep you up at night is this: what did you get in return? I watch people all the time, and I've noticed something fascinating. The same person who complains about not having enough time to read will somehow find 3 hours to scroll through social media. The same person who says they can't afford to invest in their education will spend that same money on things they won't remember buying a month from now. The same person who claims they don't have time to exercise will binge watch an entire season of a show in a weekend. They're not lying when they say they don't have time. They genuinely believe it. But belief doesn't change reality. The reality is this: we all have time for what we truly value. Show me your calendar and your bank statement, and I'll show you what you actually care about. Regardless of what you say your priorities are. If health was really your priority, you'd find 30 minutes to move your body. If financial freedom was really your priority, you'd find an hour to learn about investing or build a side income. If your family was really your priority, you'd turn off the television and be fully present with them. We don't lack time. We lack clarity about what deserves our time. Let's break down these 24 hours honestly. Because most people have never actually examined where their day goes. You sleep 8 hours. That's fair, necessary, and non-negotiable if you want to function. You work 8 hours. That's how most people earn their living. That leaves 8 hours. 8 full hours every single day that you control. 8 hours that belong completely to you. 8 hours that will either build the future you want or cement the future you're trying to escape. What happens in those 8 hours? For most people, they disappear into a fog of mindless activity. An hour getting ready in the morning, moving slowly, hitting the snooze button 3 times. An hour commuting, listening to the same radio stations, stuck in the same traffic, thinking the same thoughts. 2 hours eating meals, though not really tasting the food because they're distracted by screens. 3 hours of television or social media, numbing themselves from the day they just lived. And another hour of miscellaneous activity they can't even account for. Suddenly, those 8 hours have vanished, and they've invested none of it in becoming better, learning more, or building something meaningful. But here's what makes this tragic. Those same 8 hours could change everything. 1 hour in the morning for personal development, reading, planning, exercising, working on a skill. That's 365 hours a year, which equals 9 full work weeks of self-improvement. 2 hours in the evening building a business, creating something, developing expertise in a field that matters to you. That's 730 hours a year, which equals over 18 full work weeks of building your future. Do you see what's happening here? The same amount of time, invested differently, creates an entirely different life. I learned this lesson the hard way. For years, I was an excellent spender of time, but a terrible investor of time. I'd spend hours on activities that made me feel busy but moved me nowhere. I confused motion with progress, activity with achievement. I'd tell myself I was too tired after work to do anything meaningful, so I'd collapse in front of the television. But here's what I discovered. I wasn't too tired to improve my life. I was too undisciplined to do what mattered when I didn't feel like it. The economics of time are brutal and simple. You can spend your hours or you can invest them. Spending time gives you temporary pleasure with no lasting return. Watching television is spending time. Scrolling through social media is spending time. Sleeping until noon on weekends is spending time. There's nothing wrong with recreation and rest, but when that's all you do with your free hours, you're choosing entertainment over advancement. You're choosing comfort over growth. Investing time, on the other hand, gives you returns that multiply over the years. Reading books is investing time. Learning new skills is investing time. Building relationships with people who challenge you to be better is investing time. Working on projects that could create income, impact, or opportunity is investing time. The investment might not feel as immediately satisfying as spending, but the returns are exponential. Here's something else that's critical to understand. You're already investing your time whether you realize it or not. The question is, what are you getting in return for your investment? If you invest 8 hours a day working for someone else's dream, you get a paycheck. That's the return. Fair enough? But if you invest 0 hours working on your own dream, you get 0 return on your future. If you invest 3 hours a day on mindless entertainment, the return is 3 hours of your life you'll never get back and nothing to show for it. The wealthy understand something about time that the poor never figure out. The wealthy see time as their most precious resource, more valuable than money, because money can be replaced, but time cannot. They guard their hours jealously. They say no to activities that don't serve their goals. They're ruthless about eliminating time wasters from their schedule. The poor, on the other hand, treat time like it's infinite. They say yes to everything and everyone. They allow interruptions to steal their focus. They spend hours on activities they won't remember next week. I'm not suggesting you become some kind of productivity robot, working every waking hour with no enjoyment of life. That's not living, that's existing. What I'm suggesting is that you become intentional about the trade-offs you're making. When you choose to spend 2 hours watching television tonight, you're choosing not to spend those 2 hours building something that could change your financial future. That's fine, as long as you're making that choice consciously, not just defaulting to it because it's easy. The next 24 hours will present you with countless choices about how to spend your time. Most people make these choices on autopilot, doing what they've always done, following the path of least resistance. They wake up late because they stayed up late doing nothing important. They rush through the morning in a fog. They spend their work breaks complaining with coworkers instead of learning something new. They come home exhausted and immediately reach for the remote control or their phone. And then they wonder why their life isn't changing, why they're stuck, why they're not making progress toward their dreams. But some people, the ones who actually transform their lives, treat these 24 hours differently. They wake up with purpose. They use their morning hours for growth. They protect their time from people and activities that drain without adding value. They invest their evening hours in building something, learning something, becoming something more than they were yesterday. They don't do this because it's easy or fun. They do it because they understand the economics of time. What you trade your hours for today determines what you'll have tomorrow. The brutal truth is that 5 years from now, you'll arrive. The question is where? That destination is being determined right now by what you're trading your 86,400 seconds for today. You can trade them for immediate gratification and arrive at the same place you're standing now, or you can trade them for long-term investment and arrive somewhere you've only dreamed about. The choice is yours, but you can't have both. You can't spend your time like a poor person and arrive at wealth. You can't invest your time like a successful person and remain stuck where you are. The next 24 hours are your inventory. The question isn't whether you'll spend them, you will. The question is, what will you have to show for it when they're gone? There's something most people never grasp about success and failure, and it's cost them years of their lives. They think success is this massive mountain you have to climb, requiring superhuman effort and extraordinary circumstances. They think failure is this catastrophic event, some terrible mistake that destroys everything. But that's not how life works. Success isn't an event, it's a few simple disciplines practiced every day. And failure isn't a single moment, it's a few errors in judgment repeated every day. The difference between where you are and where you want to be isn't as dramatic as you think. It's subtle, almost invisible. And that's exactly why most people miss it. Nobody wakes up one morning and decides to ruin their life. Nobody consciously chooses to end up broke, out of shape, lonely, and full of regret. It doesn't happen that way. What happens is much more subtle, much more insidious. It starts with a simple error in judgment. Nothing major, nothing that seems dangerous, just a small choice that doesn't appear to matter. You skip the gym today, just today, because you're tired. You don't read tonight because your favorite show is on. You eat the fast food because cooking seems like too much work. You don't have that difficult conversation with your spouse because you'll do it tomorrow. You don't start that project because the timing isn't quite right. Each of these choices, by itself, is harmless. Skipping one workout won't make you unhealthy. Missing one night of reading won't make you ignorant. Eating one bad meal won't make you obese. Avoiding one conversation won't destroy your marriage. Delaying one project won't kill your dreams. But here's the trap. It's easy to do, and it's easy not to do. And because these choices don't seem to matter in the moment, we repeat them. We repeat them tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. And 6 months later, a year later, 5 years later, we wake up wondering how we ended up so far from where we wanted to be. I'll tell you a story that illustrates this perfectly. Two men start working at the same company on the same day, same position, same salary, same opportunities. Both are intelligent, capable, hardworking. 5 years later, one of them has been promoted 3 times, earns twice the salary, has skills that make him valuable anywhere, and has opportunities knocking on his door constantly. The other is still in the same position, doing the same work, earning roughly the same money, and complaining that life isn't fair. What happened? Did one get lucky breaks while the other got unlucky? No. The difference was much smaller than that. The first man spent 30 minutes every morning before work reading books about his industry, learning skills, understanding trends. The second man spent that same 30 minutes scrolling through news and social media. The first man volunteered for challenging projects that would teach him something new. The second man stuck with what was comfortable and familiar. The first man asked questions, sought mentorship, and invested in courses to improve. The second man did what was required and nothing more. After one day, the difference between them was invisible. After 1 month, still barely noticeable. After 1 year, you might see slight divergence. But after 5 years, they're living in completely different worlds. That's the power and the danger of these small choices. They compound, they multiply, they accumulate interest. Just like money in a bank account, except this interest can work for you or against you, depending on the choices you're making. Every day, you're either compounding success or compounding failure, and you might not realize which one until years have passed. Think about farming for a moment. A farmer doesn't plant seeds in the spring, go on vacation all summer, and then show up in the fall expecting a harvest. That's ridiculous. Everyone understands that farming doesn't work that way. You plant in the spring, you cultivate in the summer, pulling weeds, watering, protecting the crop from pests, and then you harvest in the fall. The work you do in summer doesn't produce immediate results. You can't see the progress day by day, but that invisible work is what creates the harvest. Miss too many summer days, and fall becomes very disappointing. Your life operates on the same principle. You can't study the night before the exam if you haven't been paying attention all semester. You can't build a strong body in 1 month if you've been neglecting it for years. You can't create financial security overnight if you've been living paycheck to paycheck with no plan. The harvest comes from what you plant and cultivate, not from what you wish for or hope for or intend to do someday. Now here's where it gets interesting, and this is what frustrates so many people. These simple disciplines that lead to success are easy to do. Reading 30 minutes a day is easy. Taking a 20-minute walk is easy. Saving 10% of your income is easy. Being kind to people is easy. Writing down your goals is easy. Learning one new thing each day is easy. None of these things require superhuman willpower or exceptional talent. They're simple. Anyone can do them. But here's the problem. They're also easy not to do. And because they're easy not to do, and because skipping them one day doesn't create immediate disaster, people skip them. They tell themselves they'll start tomorrow. They rationalize why today is different, why today they deserve a break, why today the rules don't apply. And that subtle choice, that easy error in judgment becomes a pattern. That pattern becomes a lifestyle. And that lifestyle creates a destination nobody wanted to reach. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. I learned this truth after wasting too many years choosing the easy path in the moment, only to discover I was choosing the difficult path for my future. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you're not avoiding pain, you're just scheduling it for later with interest. Every time you choose the simple discipline, you're not creating pain, you're preventing it, and you're investing in a better future. Let me be clear about something. The choice between success and failure isn't made once in some dramatic moment where you decide the direction of your entire life. That's Hollywood thinking. Real life doesn't work that way. The choice between success and failure is made dozens of times every single day in small moments that don't feel important. When your alarm goes off and you have to choose between hitting snooze or getting up with purpose. When you finish dinner and you have to choose between turning on the television or opening a book. When you get paid and you have to choose between spending everything or saving something. When conflict arises and you have to choose between avoiding it or addressing it. These moments don't announce themselves as life-changing. They feel ordinary, insignificant, hardly worth thinking about. And that's exactly why they're so dangerous. You can fail in these moments without even noticing, and the consequences won't show up until much later. But you can also win in these moments, making the simple choice that seems too small to matter. And those victories accumulate into a life that matters tremendously. The philosophy is this: small hinges swing big doors. The tiniest choices you make today are the hinges upon which your future turns. You might not be able to control whether you're born rich or poor, talented or average, in favorable circumstances or difficult ones. But you can control whether you read or watch television tonight. You can control whether you eat food that nourishes or food that harms. You can control whether you invest an hour in your future or waste it on things you won't remember tomorrow. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day, and the beautiful thing about that is how accessible it makes success. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect circumstances. You don't need to wait for opportunity to knock. You just need to do the things that are easy to do consistently, starting with the next 24 hours. Will one day of simple disciplines transform your life? No. But one day becomes a week, becomes a month, becomes a year, becomes a decade, and suddenly you're standing in a completely different place than where you started. Failure is just a few errors in judgment repeated every day. Success is just a few simple disciplines practiced every day. The choice between them isn't dramatic or difficult. It's subtle and simple. And it's happening right now, whether you're paying attention or not. The next 24 hours will present you with dozens of these choice points. These small hinges that swing big doors. The question isn't whether the choices matter, they do. The question is whether you'll have the wisdom to choose correctly when the choices seem too small to count. So now we get to the part that separates the talkers from the doers, the dreamers from the achievers. Everything I've shared with you up to this point is useless if you don't act on it. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. You can nod your head, agree with every word, feel inspired for 10 minutes, and then go right back to living the same way you've always lived. Or you can decide that these next 24 hours are going to be different. Not perfect, just different, just better, just the beginning of a new pattern. Start with tomorrow morning, not next Monday, not the first of the month, tomorrow morning. The first hour of your day sets the tone for the next 23 hours. Winners don't stumble into their morning in a fog, reacting to whatever comes at them. They own their morning. They start with something challenging, something that requires discipline, because it proves to themselves that they're serious. Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's working on that project you keep putting off. Whatever it is, do it before you check your phone, before you turn on the news, before you give the world permission to distract you. Win the first hour, and you've got momentum for the rest of the day. Then comes the work day. And I'm not just talking about your job. I'm talking about how you show up. Most people give their employer 8 hours of physical presence, but maybe 3 hours of actual focused work. The rest is wasted on distractions, conversations that go nowhere, checking social media, stretching tasks that should take 20 minutes into 2 hours. If you're going to trade 8 hours of your life for a paycheck, at least get something more than money in return. Get better. Learn something. Master a skill. Build relationships with people who are going somewhere. Your job isn't just about paying bills, it's a training ground for excellence, if you choose to see it that way. But here's where most people lose the battle, the evening hours. They come home tired, mentally drained, and they think they've earned the right to collapse, and maybe they have earned some rest. But there's a difference between rest and waste. Spending 20 minutes unwinding is rest. Spending 3 hours in front of a screen, numbing yourself from the life you're living, is waste. The evening hours are the most valuable hours you have because they belong completely to you. This is when winners are built. While everyone else is watching television, you could be building a business. While everyone else is scrolling through other people's lives, you could be creating your own. While everyone else is complaining about their circumstances, you could be changing yours. I'm not saying you need to work 18 hours a day. I'm saying you need to invest a few of those evening hours in becoming more than you currently are. 2 hours. That's all I'm asking for. 2 hours out of your evening, 5 days a week, invested in learning, building, creating, growing. That's 10 hours a week, over 500 hours a year. Do you know what you could accomplish with 500 focused hours working on something that matters? You could master a new skill. You could build a side business. You could write a book. You could transform your health. You could create opportunities that don't exist in your life right now. Here's what I want you to do, starting right now. Create what I call a success resume. Not the resume you give to employers, a personal resume of promises you kept to yourself today. At the end of these next 24 hours, I want you to write down every small victory. I woke up when my alarm went off instead of hitting snooze. I read for 30 minutes. I had the difficult conversation I've been avoiding. I worked on my project I chose the healthy meal over the convenient one. Each of these entries is proof that you're becoming someone who does what they say they'll do. And that person, the one who keeps promises to themselves, is unstoppable. The truth is, you don't need to change your entire life today. You just need to change today. You don't need to figure out the next 5 years. You just need to figure out the next 24 hours. You don't need to become perfect. You just need to become better than you were yesterday. And if you can do that today, you can do it again tomorrow. And if you can do it tomorrow, you can do it the day after. And suddenly, 6 months from now, a year from now, you'll look back and won't recognize the person you used to be. The next 24 hours are going to pass whether you use them or waste them. Your future is being built right now, in this moment, by the choices you're about to make. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait for motivation. Start now. Start today. Start with the next 24 hours and use them like they matter, because they do. The life you're going to live 5 years from now is being determined right now, today, in the next 24 hours. Not by some grand decision or dramatic moment, but by the small choices you make when nobody's watching. The choice to get up or stay down. The choice to invest or waste. The choice to grow or coast. These choices seem insignificant in the moment, and that's exactly why most people get them wrong. But you're not most people, or you wouldn't still be listening. Something inside you knows that you're capable of more, that you're meant for more, that settling for less than your potential is a betrayal of the person you could become. Trust that voice. Act on it. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. The clock is ticking. Your 86,400 seconds for today are disappearing, whether you use them wisely or squander them carelessly. 5 years from now, you'll wish you had started today. So start. Make the next 24 hours count. Make them different. Make them matter. Your future self is watching, waiting, hoping. You'll finally decide that enough is enough and that today is the day everything changes. Make it count.